This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Here we go for Saturday. Busy one straight ahead. Full day of hockey action. And I mean a full day of hockey action, which is cool. Lots of good stories from around the National Hockey League. Some inspiring, some uplifting stories. There's always a little bit of, what's that all about kind of stuff. But we're excited about another Saturday and another big day ahead. Great guest lineup as well, too. Our friend Mike Zeisberger, formerly of Post Media, now working with NHL.com, will be with us this hour. Looking forward to, as he put it on Twitter, an entertaining and informative visit here on our program. And looking forward to having Mike Zeisberger back with us. We will introduce you to our new book of the month, which is Behind the Bench: Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. The author, Craig Custance from The Athletic, will also join us this hour. Fascinating, interesting stuff inside this book. I have not read the entire book. I've read little bits and pieces. It's really interesting. Also with us in the program today, Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com. Always a good conversation with Josh, and we have had a lot of questions and a lot of focus on rules and officiating, and in particular, video review this past week. A little sniping, a little griping and stuff. So we will try to answer and illuminate some things in terms of the rules, how they're applied, how the system works with our friend Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com. And also the radio play-by-play voice on the San Jose Sharks radio network, Dan Rusanowsky, will be with us to talk about the Sharks, who seem to be finding their way forward quite nicely. Thank you very much. After a bit of a bumpy start to the season, but it's a good role that the San Jose Sharks are starting to get on now and moving in the right direction. Our social media contact coordinates at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports on Twitter and on Instagram. You can check out our Facebook page as well, where we are streaming live right now, live on Facebook, live on Periscope, on YouTube Live. It's all powered by Primetime Radio and, of course, streaming on hockeyunfiltered.com. Busy day. It is Saturday, November the 4th. It is also Try Hockey for Free Day. All over the U.S., a chance for youngsters to try hockey for free. If you're between the ages of 4 and 9, the USA Hockey Group is along with about 500 associations at about 450 rinks. You can try hockey for free today. All you have to do is go to tryhockeyforfree.com, put in your zip code, and they'll show you the closest rinks. It's a really cool thing. Tryhockeyforfree.com. You can do it today. And of course, it being Saturday, hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. We are looking for your Dog of the Day nominations. We've already had several coming in through Twitter, through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We pick a Dog of the Day every Saturday. Our judging committee goes through and votes on all of the nominees. And I've got a cool dog story that I'll tell you in just a little bit as well, just before we get to our first break. But it's the first weekend of November. It's a long weekend in a sense too, because the clocks go back. We go back to standard time. The November's a few days old now, and we're kind of at the point where we're a month into the season and everybody's kind of looking at the standings and looking at teams. Who's good? Who's bad? Who's better than expected? Who's not off to the great start? And what they should be doing. That's what teams are kind of looking at right now, is what should we be doing to improve and help ourselves. There was the story that came out yesterday, late Friday night, about a three-way trade that was being discussed. It all fell apart. We'll talk to Mike Zeisberger about that and probably a few other things. But let's take a deep breath, try to be calm, try to be rational, just kind of examine where we are in the NHL season. Everybody's past 10 games. We're into double digits. We're still a few weeks away from the U.S. Thanksgiving that so many people point to and say, well, what the standings look at on U.S. Thanksgiving, that's going to be, with a few exceptions, what they'll look like at the end of the regular season in April. So it's still early. No. As we decided several weeks ago, it's no longer early. You can think that, yes, U.S. Thanksgiving is still several weeks away. We've still got time to make changes, adjustments, and improve, but you better start doing it now. Because, if you just get into the playoffs, allegedly anything can happen. Doesn't really work that way. You can have a good run, but other than those LA Kings a few years ago who got in as the 8th seed and wound up winning the Stanley Cup, how often does that happen? It doesn't. Oh, you can get close, but you can't get there. Why not put yourself in the best possible position? I'm not one who likes math, but the math works against you if you're not in a good position. And yes, it happens early. We're only a few days into November. It's not impossible for teams to climb back in and change their fortunes. Jonathan Willis did a good piece on sportsnet.ca. We'll put out the link to that. It's a good piece that shows how quickly you get behind and how difficult it is for teams to get back into the playoff picture. There are exceptions. Yes, you'll see later in the season that teams are only maybe a half a dozen points out of the playoff picture, and there will be so many saying, oh, yeah, all they need is 3 wins. Except those 3 wins are so difficult to get because everybody's scrapping for every last point, and that loser point, the one when you go to overtime and or a shootout, that's the one that keeps everything bunched up. That's the thing that makes it so difficult to climb back in. I'm not trying to be all negative, but this is reality. And there's been a lot of great things that I want to look at and talk about through this season so far. Lots of great skill, lots of deft plays. The game moves so quickly. It is breathtaking to watch on any given night, just about any matchup. You can tune in, check it out for a little while, and just almost have your breath taken away on a regular basis. Lots of fans worried about their team in the early going. A lot of them are showing signs of life now, moving upward in the right directions. There's real reason for optimism, real reason to be happy. Teams are starting to emerge from some of their summer hibernation. They've begun to play as expected. One of those teams was watching them on Friday night. That would be the Edmonton Oilers. Boy, were they taking a lot of heat a few weeks ago. Oh, my goodness. Now, some of it justified. But the heat was turned up big on Edmonton quickly because expectations are high in Edmonton. Talked about this at the start of the year with a bunch of different teams, not just with the Edmonton Oilers, but with a bunch of different teams, with Columbus, with Toronto, for example. They have expectations. They have higher expectations this year. Some were accurate. Some were overreaching, we'll say. How do you handle expectations? That's something that teams have to figure out as well. It changes fans. They're not as patient. Right at the start of the year, you lose a couple of games. Fans are all over you. Media is asking you questions. What's wrong? You're two games in. Edmonton seems to be starting to move in the right direction. I like what I've seen over the last few games. They're starting to come out of this funk. They still have questions about their lineup. They're not perfect by any stretch of the playing better, and they look better. Did you watch the game earlier in the week against the Pittsburgh Penguins? Connor McDavid versus Sidney Crosby. Now, I know not everybody got to see it because in their infinite wisdom, U.S. national TV didn't show that game for the second time. Crosby, McDavid, head-to-head. I know I've been chirping about that a lot, but it just blows me away. But you could see that Edmonton was playing better. Yeah, they lost the game. 2 of the biggest stars, head-to-head, great matchup, great game. For the second time in just over a week, these 2 teams played a great game. Edmonton played hard-fought game with the Pens. Both teams played really well. Pittsburgh was good, too. This was a fun game to watch, like the one the week before was as well. Edmonton had chances. They had lots of good chances. They could have won that game. Matt Murray was sensational for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He made a bunch of great saves. Pittsburgh won it 3-2. It was close. Then Friday, Edmonton continued their motivated play. Devils were the opponent. The whole Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade narrative was the big push prior to the game. But the real story is Devils are playing sensational at the start of the year. Edmonton's record has been disappointing to say the least. And now what happens? We're kind of reaching a critical point. Taylor Hall's over it now. Adam Larson is over it now. Devils were a bit sluggish at the start. McDavid was flying. He could have had 6 points on Friday night if his teammates had been able to finish. He had 3 assists as it was, but Connor McDavid could have had 6. Oilers won it 5-3. Devils suffered their first road loss. And I know there's a lot of people that are pointing, oh, you got to get Patrick Maroon going. You got to get Milan Lucic going. You got to have that big bull kind of players for the Oilers to be successful. That's not the big deal for me. In the short term, that'll help. But Patrick Maroon has limited skills. Milan Lucic, he's got a reputation that is starting to change quickly and not for the better. Oh, yeah, skill, super big, strong, physical. But what did we learn as soon as Milan Lucic arrived and started playing on a line with Connor McDavid? He can't keep up. Can't skate well enough to keep up with him. And that's why he doesn't play with him on a regular basis. He's not fast enough. He doesn't have that elite skill level. He's not the right fit. So now you got to push him further down the lineup. Maroon, okay. It sort of works. How long? The game's getting faster. Lucic is getting slower. This is not a sustainable situation. There's 5 years left on that contract after this one. It's going to get bad. But there's the whole, oh, you got to crash the net more, be physical, go to the dirty areas, cliches that get thrown out. That's what we need more of. That's not the way the game is evolving, though. You still have to go to areas where you can score, but it's not about who can act like the bull in the china shop anymore. More skill, more finesse. Not to say the game isn't physical, because it is still plenty physical. But I think in the long term, there is an evolution that is taking place, and the Oilers have got to keep up with it. This is an important time for both of these teams. Edmonton's got to start winning a few games. Devils, they lost for the first time on the road. How do they react? They can't let that become a problem. These are things that we're going to watch for in the next little while. Devils woke up after the slow start, got going, but they've got speed. That's the key to their success. There's a determination. There's a speed factor on that team plus skill. I'm becoming a believer in the Devils. Surprised me, but to sustain it for this long, let's see how they do moving forward. They're going to be fun to watch. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Hashtag, of course, on Saturdays, the HU Dog of the Day. Submit your nominations through Twitter, through Instagram. Photo of the dog, your name, dog's name. If there's a good story to go with it. I promised you the good dog story. Here it is. Went to get my eyes checked a couple of days ago. This past week, it was time. In fact, it was overdue. Went to see the eye doctor, Dr. Ogden, in Naples, Florida, and of course, was greeted at the front door by Aiden. In fact, almost tripped over him. Aiden is her dog. He's also a therapy dog. They go out, they visit. He's a therapy dog. And how cool is it that you get to bring your dog to work every day? He's fantastic, beautiful dog. This is a good story. So yes, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles, hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tell us your dog stories. Tell us your photos. We'll pile them up and we will choose a winner at the end of the day. Coming up before the hour is out, Craig Custance will join us from The Athletic, the editor-in-chief, and also the author of Behind the Bench, our book of the month. And in the next segment, Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com will join us. We'll talk about what's going on around the National Hockey League 1 month in. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag today, HU Dog of the Day. Send us your nominations. Happy to welcome to the program a regular visitor. We always enjoy the conversations, a few laughs, a little fun, some great info as well. Follow him on Twitter at Zeisberger. You can now read all of his things on NHL.com. Mike Zeisberger joins us now. Mike, I don't think I've talked to you, but congratulations on the new gig. It's wonderful to have you on NHL.com now. Some really terrific stuff in the early going. How are you enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for having me on, Todd. And some things never change. What Saturday for us is hockey night in Canada and Hockey Unfiltered. I mean, it's a tradition unlike any other, right?
You're very kind, and we appreciate that. So now I want to ask you. I want to ask you about one of the first things I think you've done for NHL.com, but it got a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It was a nice piece about Patrick Marleau and his return to San Jose that came out at the beginning of the week when the Leafs were in San Jose, Marleau's new team, visiting his old team for the first time. Really terrific piece, and it was a lot of good info, and I guess it must have been pretty fun for you to do too.
No, it definitely was, and to go and talk to some of Patrick's teammates who just happened to be playing down the road in Buffalo a couple of days earlier. It was really insightful, and it was whenever let's be honest, let's cut to the chase, Todd. Whenever you have a subject in which Brett Burns can comment on it, you know you're going to get gold, okay? And Brent Burns was, let's face it, okay? And I mean, so. That was one of the best parts. I'm in the dressing room, in San Jose dressing room in Buffalo. They had just a week ago today, they had just beaten the Buffalo Sabres 3-2. Joe Thornton and I are joking around about Patrick Marleau returning to San Jose. I'd asked Joe if he had anything for Patrick in that game, and Joe laughed and he said, "Oh, a spear maybe," and then he laughed because he was obviously joking. And here comes Brent Burns, all his tattoos, munching on a slice of pizza. How's that for painting a picture for you, buddy?
Awesome.
And he goes,
awesome.
Who's coming back? And Joe's going, Thornton's going like, Patty Marleau. When? Monday. And then Burns is looking around and he goes, what day is it today? Thornton's going, Saturday. Now, keep in mind that they had just finished a 5-city, 9-day road trip, but it was still funny. And Burns is looking around going, wow, that's pretty soon. And then he laughed. That is so Brent Burns, okay? But, he talked about what a great teammate that Patrick Marleau was. And how close of friends they were. And could you ever imagine the yin and the yang of Brent Burns and Patrick Marleau? The kind of Marleau, the straight-laced guy, very chooses his words carefully, and Brent Burns, who right now is in commercials for Sasquatch with a Sasquatch for I think beef jerky.
Yeah.
So there you go. But the best line that Brent Burns had, he said, he said, Patty is soft spoken. He goes, if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'll be ready for it because I've hung around with Patty all this time.
That's right.
So
I love that.
It was a wonderful story. And those are the type of things that I love to do. There's so many personalities in the sport that Brent Burns is one. I mean, he's managed to capture the national, or the interest and the psyche of hockey fans everywhere. But a lot of times, because we're so East Coast centric, you don't really hear some of the stories about the personalities and such of guys that play in the West Coast, and therefore we're starting to hear more about guys like Patrick Marleau. And I just want to add that I have a story on Patrick after his first game in the Leaf uniform, which was in Winnipeg, and he scored 2 goals. And It ended up that the guys that assisted on his first goal as a Leaf, when Patrick Marleau first scored his first NHL goal in 1997, Austin Matthews was 33 days old. Mitch Marner was 167 days old. And those were the 2 guys that assisted on his first goal as a Leaf.
Wow. That gives you a much better sense of how long Patrick Marleau has had such an impact, such a positive impact on the National Hockey League. Mike, I want to ask you too. You make such a good point about not seeing enough of the personality, and I'll go so far as to say not just the West Coast, but even teams on the East Coast. I love it when players show and demonstrate their human, their personality. They have feelings, they have emotions, whether it's just a small little thing. I mean, the Brent Burns thing, he is a larger than life personality, but I fear some almost look at him in the beef jerky commercial saying, oh, well, there he is. He's just being a clown and stuff. But his personality, I think, is much more. It's happy-go-lucky. It's happy-go-lucky. It's relaxed. It's not about creating a stir or being a joke that people point at. It's just, this is him, and this is his real personality. He's a fun-loving person.
No, and I think you know what? I think the league is trying to get back to emphasizing those things, emphasizing the personality. I know there's a lot of talk sometimes about, the National Hockey League tries to suppress the personalities of its players, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that, with some of the marketing, I think the 100th anniversary of the league, some of the marketing about the cup and some of the great moments, we see some of those players, and I think they've done a good job with that. But I always go back to, and this is, we're going back to a long time. One of my favorite commercials that the league ever put out, I don't know if you remember this, hotel, and a bunch of NHL personalities were in this hotel, and they showed them like Phil Kessel doing they were having races with the maids' gurneys in the hotel aisle.
Yeah.
And not only that, but food kept coming to Sidney Crosby's room, and it was Alex Ovechkin was on the phone to room service going like, I'd like to have 3 steaks, 5 bacon and eggs, 8 full chickens, all of this. And then at the end of the commercial, you see the door open, and there's all this food is right at Crosby's door, and you just see Crosby look and say, Ovechkin. And I thought that was really well done. And I think that there is the possibility for some of the personalities to be brought out in this league, and there are some good ones. I just find it fascinating sometimes, sometimes people think that PK Subban goes over the line, and everybody's allowed to have their opinion. I just don't find anything wrong with the fact that, and especially we used a guy like Brent Burns. What's wrong? I mean, if that's his personality, why not exploit that from a marketing point of view?
Mike Zeisberger is with us from NHL.com. At Zeisberger is how you follow him on Twitter. I agree with you completely. I don't think it's necessarily the league that is trying to suppress the personality. I think it's more of the past hockey culture, in the sense that everything we talk about has to do with the team, and it's not about drawing attention to yourself individually. It's about being human in the sense, and answering a question with a real answer, as opposed to, well, we got to start on time and give 110% and got to bring our A game tonight. I mean, every time I hear that, I just, I want to click it off and don't want to hear anymore. But if you just give me an answer, then I've got all the time in the day for you.
No, I agree. And it's funny, I'll point at something that happened this week. Drew Doughty was asked about the Maple Leafs.
Yep.
The Leafs played the Kings this week, and he made a suggestion that saying, like, he said that they were a good young team and things of that nature, but he said he thought that, their defense was a little bit thin to be considered a top-notch contender. I'm not putting words in the direct quote. That was the gist of what he said. And it gained a lot of controversy. And I don't know why, because number one, it's accurate. Number two, it's his opinion. And number three, he didn't come out and say all these guys are crap or stuff like that. He was just making a statement. But, so often we're ready to pounce on people that actually state what's on their mind. And I understand that if somebody starts slagging the opposition, taking shots at other teams, you don't really like that. But I think we have to be careful sometimes, Todd, that we don't suppress guys from coming out and speaking what's on their mind. When it's there's a difference between a cheap shot and being candid, and I think we have to draw that line sometimes. And I think sometimes people are so afraid of that line that they give those answers that you mentioned earlier. We have to stay within ourselves, one game at a time, yada yada yada. We both heard it more times than we can count in our careers. So I mean, that's why it's kind of refreshing when you get the Brett Burns personalities of the world.
I agree with you completely. Get Pucks Deep is my favorite too. So but you're right.
How about the one that's come up the last 5 years? Okay,
sure.
We have to stick to the process.
Yes.
I mean, 15, 20 years ago, we never even heard anything about process. Okay, and now it's that catch-all phrase. Okay, it's part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good one. And
do you remember what a process was? It used to be a processor where you put all your food into something and it blended it all together. I think
chop or
K-Tel
mix,
made it,
or
didn't it?
Chop or mix or mulch, and that's the. But you're right about the frustration. I'm sure players must feel that if they say anything that has the least bit of genuine thought put into it, then it becomes a manufactured controversy. Something they say is taken and put against them. And I feel for the players. That's got to be incredibly frustrating for them. You get to have candid conversations because you're regularly in a dressing room or a locker room, but there's just hearing the little sound bites and reading the quotes. It's frustrating for fans who are dying for a little bit of that personality.
Yeah, and it is part of the new media type of landscape that we're in, where you have Twitter, where there's cameras all over the place, where you don't know where anything is, where some of these players think that they're treading through a verbal minefield, and they want to be careful, and somewhere there has to be a line there, and so it's nice to see that there still are some personalities in the game that are like that. And you know what? I'll give you another example this week where, I thought it was refreshingly candid to see a kid like Patrik Laine. I mean, does anybody really worry about this kid? We forget. I mean, it's only his second year in the National Hockey League, okay? But he's there saying, like, I have no confidence. When I'm out there, I don't know. He's saying, like, he's not sure what's going on out there. And I thought, this is great. This kid, it's not great that he's going through his struggles. It's great that he feels comfortable enough that he can say that, some down on it and look at that and say, wow, you know what, you're showing vulnerability. No, you're being honest, okay? Because once Patrik Laine starts scoring we all know what's going to happen with him, okay? He's going to be one of the best scorers in the league. He is one of the best natural goal scorers in the league. I know Carey Price is going through a lot of struggles right now. But I think, Todd, you and I have been around the game long enough to know. I mean, we'd both be shocked if 2 or 3 months down the road he's still going through something like this. I mean, every single player in this league goes through some downturns, and you have to be confident enough in your own skin, like a kid like Laine is, to come and publicly say, just, you know what, right now, I don't know what's going on. And, I'm very uncertain of the moves that I'm making out there.
Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com, at Zeisberger on Twitter. Mike, we got to fly, but always a great conversation. Fantastic stuff, and I can't wait to have you back again. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, and have a great Saturday, Todd. Appreciate it. Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com. It's a cool piece on Patrick Marleau, and that's a great one he talked about with Marleau's first game with the Maple Leafs as well. And I completely agree about Patrik Laine. It's showing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, and feeling safe and comfortable enough in an environment to do that makes you look even stronger. So good for Patrik Laine. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag today is HU Dog of the Day. Tweet us, send us your Instagram photos of your Dog of the Day nominee, your name, dog's name, cool photo. We like them all. We'll take the break, and Craig Custance, the author of our latest book of the month, will join us in the next segment. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Busy show, lots to get into with a busy Saturday. And this being the first Saturday of a new month, we are pleased to highlight and tell you about our new book of the month. We're going to do this all season. We found some really cool books, and this one I think will get lots of excitement and enthusiasm from hockey fans. The name of the book is Behind the Bench: Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. The author is Craig Custance, who is also the editor-in-chief of The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Craig Custance, and he joins us on the line now. Craig, the book is just out in paperback. I know it's been well received, and you've had some great reviews and good feedback. The first question I got to ask you, though, is how did you come up with the idea? I guess talking to coaches is one thing, but you took it a step further in putting this book together.
Yeah. So the kind of the thought process was, and it really stemmed from, years of doing press conferences with coaches, or, the pregame scrum. And I'm sure you've been a part of it where, when all the microphones go off and the cameras are gone, the coaches a lot of times will just sit and chat, and you get into a little bit of their strategy and player usage, and sometimes just like great stories if the guy has time. And I always was like, man, there's got to be a way to have those conversations in a way that it, isn't off the record, isn't just in the hallways of arenas, and kind of thought, boy, it would be cool to watch game tape. That was one thought, and then the other thought was maybe pitch it in a way that we're watching maybe the greatest moment for this coach, and that was the thought process behind this book, was sitting down with these coaches, watching the game they won the Stanley Cup or a gold medal with them, and getting some of those stories and insights, and thankfully they were willing to do it.
And it's great that you get to go through the video of one of the games, pick a coach, it doesn't matter, but go through, and I'm sure you probably stopped and started a whole bunch of times as you're going through, and coaches are relaying stories about this is what happened here, and this is why I was thinking this, and that's the really cool part about this book, is gaining a little insight into how the coaches operate behind the bench.
Yeah, there was some of that, Todd. It really depended on the coach. There was some coaches, and I think, and I'm kind of guessing here, but a lot of it had to do with how far away the game was. But some of the coaches, if it was an old game, there was less like, stop, let's watch this again, and more reminiscing about that team or the path that the coach took to get to those moments. And every coach is a little bit different. Like, I'll give you, like John Tortorella, for example, and we're watching the Lightning beat Calgary, like that was like watching a game from another time. And like moments where you could say, okay, this was applicable to now. And it ended up being a conversation with John Tortorella just about his evolution as a coach, why he thought maybe he should have been fired in Vancouver, but not fired in New York. And just some great stories about his use of conflict and some of his reputation, and why maybe it's not always the person that you think it is. And I think every coach kind of took it down a different direction, and that's what made it interesting.
Is Tortorella misunderstood after spending that much time with him and going through tape and writing the book? Do you think he's misunderstood?
I think so, yeah. Although I think that's changing. I think the perception of John Tortorella now is very different than it was 5 or 6 years ago. But I didn't know him really well. Some of these coaches I had a relationship with just from covering them and having long conversations with. John wasn't one of those coaches really. So there was a little bit of I would say nerves going into that one. I sat down with him and Mike Sullivan. They're good friends, and we watched the game in Minneapolis because they were there for a USA Hockey thing. And I remember talking to Mike Sullivan going into it. He said exactly what you said. He said, look, I hope he opens up, because this is a guy who I believe is completely misunderstood. His public perception doesn't match the real John Tortorella. and mostly because John Tortorella, I don't think cares enough to correct it, right? Like, I mean, he says at one point, yeah, he does care what people think, but he's also not going to change who he is to kind of create a perception of himself. And so I went into that a little bit nervous, only knowing kind of the post-game exchanges that we've had or seen with him. And it was, he couldn't have been more gracious. He was really open and engaging. And, you know, it just became this conversation and this back and forth. I ended up dictating a lot of it, and a lot of that chapter is just, here are pieces of this conversation back and forth, because it was really engaging. And I do think, you know, I certainly saw a side to John Tortorella that I hadn't seen before.
Craig Custance is with us. He is the editor-in-chief at The Athletic and also the author of our new book of the month for November. It's called Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. It is available now in paperback. At Craig Custance is how you follow him on Twitter. You mentioned that Tortorella is a coach that seems to have evolved. I would say the same about just about any coach that's had longevity. So pretty much most of the ones that you've talked with and have segments in the book. Joel Quenneville has been in Chicago for such a long time, but he too has evolved as a coach from his early career when he was in Colorado, when he was in St. Louis, and now when he's in Chicago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I tried to get at with Joel Quenneville, it's funny because when people throw out who are the best coaches in the game, you know, people automatically go to Mike Babcock and sometimes it's Ken Hitchcock or Barry Trotz or whatever it is. And then it's like, oh yeah, there's this guy that's won 3 Stanley Cups in Chicago, right? Like, for whatever reason, Joel doesn't always immediately come to mind and I think the reason being is that I think some people are like, well, you know, he's got Taves and Kane and Keith and he had Hossa and Crawford but what I think what makes Joel the perfect coach for that team is how much players love to play for him, how adept he is at coaching stars, which I don't think is an easy task always, and egos. And if you just look at, you know, the long stretch the Penguins had between Stanley Cups, like if it was just as easy as throwing out Malkin, Crosby and Letang, then they would have 1 million cups. But I think there's an art to it. And I tried to kind of get at what made Joel Quenneville such a good coach and why do these players love him. And there's some incredible stories. Adam Burrish was really helpful on this and in really articulating and telling stories of what Joel Quenneville would do to get everybody on board, make sure everybody felt like they were part of the team, especially when he has this reputation of riding his horses, right? Like he's a guy that's going to go heavy with playing time with his stars. And yet you have a team that would run through a wall for him from top to bottom for the most part. And we got into some of that.
And I guess whether it's Joel Quenneville or any other of the coaches that you spoke with or any successful coach, you have to figure out now that players operate and are motivated differently, that what might work for one player, whether he's a star or whether he's a role player, works differently. And coaches have to, and I guess that's part of the reason why successful ones evolve, is they have to figure out, well, this guy needs to be pushed, or this guy needs to practice more. I need to make him practice more, or I need to leave him alone. Or sometimes I just need this player to let him come in and talk in my office for 30 minutes every other week. And he's fine. It's finding that right recipe for the individual players as well.
It is. And you know, there's a couple of themes ended up emerging, but one that kind of touches along with what you're saying there is, you know, these guys got to be who they are in large part because they're constantly looking for improvement and constantly looking to get better. And the guys that don't change tend not to be in the game, you know, as long as some of the coaches that evolve. And the best example chapter, and he really was good at articulating what he does as a coach to make sure he's better yesterday than he was today. And it's funny, I'm working on a Claire Drake story, you know, the legendary coach from the Edmonton University of Alberta going into the Hall of Fame. And it's a lot of it, you know, I'm talking to all these people about Claire Drake and I hear in their stories about him, the same thing echoed in some of these great coaches that learned from him, including Mike Babcock. And one of Mike Babcock's mantras is, you know, be better yesterday than you were today and steal good ideas from anywhere you can. And it was fascinating to talk to Mike Babcock about him meeting with CEOs of companies, going to Silicon Valley and tapping into these resources of people running these huge corporations, and then figuring out what can he distill from those interactions to then import into the hockey world. And I found that, you know, I'm sitting here thinking all coaches talk about is the power play and the penalty kill. And he's was kind of next level with it all.
I was just before I let you go, I was going to say, I think that's what's hopefully going to happen more in the future, is that as opposed to simply focusing on X's and O's or numbers or something like that, is you are going to look a little bigger and a little broader, look for solutions outside. I think the game is kind of moving and evolving that way, and I think that's a positive for everybody.
It is. And so you have kind of a tug of war, because there is a certain subset in the hockey world that's like, this is how it's always been done and this is how we're going to do it. But you also have coaches that are pushing the limit and saying, we have to find the next thing that succeeds. And, you know, what ends up happening is those coaches have success and it becomes a copycat league, and everybody implements what has success. And that to me is what makes a great coach, is the guy that's willing to take a risk, implement something that maybe isn't being done, or learn from something outside the game in terms of motivating players or bringing a team together or building a culture that maybe doesn't exist in the hockey world. And I think it's staying one step ahead is what makes these guys great.
Craig Custance is the author in our book of the month, Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. It's available now in paperback. At Craig Custance is how you follow him on Twitter. He's also the editor-in-chief at The Athletic, which I'm really enjoying. Craig, good stuff today. Really enjoyed it. We'll be talking about this book all month, and hopefully we can have you back again soon and talk more hockey.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Craig Custance from The Athletic. Really interesting. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I have not read the entire book. Before having authors on, I don't like to necessarily read the entire book. I'll read a little bit about it and find out some bits and pieces, but I don't necessarily want to read the entire book because I want to find out about it. So hopefully it helps you find out about it. But this one I think is very worthwhile, very interesting. Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Follow us. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email address. Good conversation and topics this hour. Really enjoying it. A little bit more on where we've been in terms of personality, looking outside the traditional thoughts and ideas of how the game is projected and played, whether it's through coaching, whether it's through playing, players showing personality. It's good. It's a positive thing for everyone. That and much more coming up. Josh Smith will join us in our next hour. We'll talk officiating, referees, and Dan Rusanowsky, the radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks, also coming up. Busy show. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 D's. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. We're here every Saturday, every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Tweet us your Dog of the Day photos. Send us on Instagram. Your name, dog's name. There's a cool story that goes along with it. I have a picture up of on our Hockey Unfiltered account that we put out. The dog I met this past week, went to get my eyes checked. Aiden, it's Dr. Ogden's dog. My optometrist got my eyes checked. He's a nice go-to-work dog. Oh, yeah. He's also a service dog and therapy dog. That's pretty cool. A lot to get into today with a busy Saturday in the National Hockey League. So much going on. It is also Saturday, November the 4th, Try Hockey for Free Day all over the U.S. Kids between the ages of 4 and 9, along with USA Hockey and hundreds of associations across the United States at hundreds of arenas, get to try hockey for free. Just show up. The equipment, the stuff you need is there to try it. Kids get a chance to get out on the ice, see what it's all about, maybe get involved. Maybe they like it, maybe they don't, but you got to try it. It can be time consuming. It can be costly just to expose kids to hockey. So I think this is a terrific program. Try Hockey for Free Day. Just go to the website, tryhockeyforfree.com. You put in your zip code and it shows you the closest areas, the closest arenas that you can go and try hockey for free. I think it's great. Kids get a chance to get involved and see if they like it and just get out on the ice, have some fun. It's just a cool thing to do. It can be perhaps the start of a lifetime of enjoyment for kids, for families, for parents. There was a really good piece that I read from columnist Steve Simmons of the Sun and Post Media this past week. It talked about his frustration and his sadness that he wasn't able to continue in his Sunday night pickup hockey game any longer. It's true. This is what happens. That as you go through, sometimes you'll get to a point in life where either because of physical limitations or your life changes or work schedule or whatever changes, something that you've experienced and it's become part of your life and you look forward to, and just going out and playing hockey. For whatever reason, if you can't do it anymore, it was a really interesting piece, really touched a nerve with me because I've experienced it in the past, that I was part of a number of different groups through my life, and as circumstances changed and life changed and evolved, you were no longer part of that group. And it is a loss. It's something that you feel. It's something that's important. And it really shows how significant a role it can play in your life. Just once a week, a little get together, you laugh, you joke, you have fun, you have a good time. It doesn't really matter how well you do on any given night. And if you're not doing particularly well, your friends and teammates and the opposition will let you know that you're not doing particularly well and having a tough night. Or if you are, they'll enjoy it and tease you about it, but celebrate it with you at the same time. So it doesn't matter what the score is, but it's pretty terrific. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes life changes and gets in the way, and you can't always enjoy it for forever and ever. But also this hour, I wanted to mention again, personality, seeing more personality in players, having it play a bigger part in players and in growing the league. I think it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful. I was talking earlier about the New Jersey Devils and Edmonton Oilers who played on Friday night, and two of the players involved in this game, you got a little taste of their personality this past week, and it was good. It was positive. It was wonderful. On ESPN.com, Emily Kaplan did a nice piece about Connor McDavid, gave you a little insight into his personality, just kind of showed what kind of a person he is, his teammates talking about him, and just kind of little things, laughing, joking, talking about whether or not he could parallel park, how good he was at video games, but just fun stuff like this that provides a little insight into the player. You get a chance to see what they're all about, whether they have a sense of humor. This kind of stuff is vital to the success and growth and expansion of the league and it becoming more successful and growing the audience, both domestically and internationally. Finding a little personality, something that you can find in common. I mean, I don't like to play video games necessarily, but I can really parallel park, and it makes me stunned that it's not as easy for everyone, but it's just a little thing. And the same with New Jersey Devils winger Taylor Hall, who got a little attention on social media this week. Couple of days previous, there's a tweet of Selena Gomez wearing Justin Bieber's Devils jersey. Now, of course, with the popularity of those two, it blows up. It's everywhere. It's on TV shows. Entertainment Tonight is showing that, they were tweeting out that he's wearing a Devils jersey. So Taylor Hall decides he's going to have a little fun with this. He quotes the tweet with the photo of Selena Gomez wearing Justin Bieber's New Jersey Devils sweater. And all it says is, "Sup, Selena?" And of course, people see this and it's like, oh my gosh, he only needed a few characters, but what he stirred up was unbelievable. So much so that during the pregame media availability prior to the New Jersey Devils and Edmonton Oilers game on Friday night, he's getting asked about all. It's like, oh, what's going on? You're tweeting Selena Gomez. Are you trying to get some attention? What are you trying to do? And he just kind of laughs and jokes about it and says, yeah, threw it out there. Got to take your shot. Got to take a chance every now and again. That's great. That's fun. Good for him. I'm glad he did it. And I'm glad he was open and honest and upfront about it and had some fun with it. But this relates to what we were talking a little bit about earlier, having the ability to feel that you're safe enough and comfortable enough in your own skin and in an environment that you can be a little bit vulnerable. I know some players and coaches and managers and others and society in general, some are a little more open than others. I tend to close up a little bit. It's just it's a bit of a protective nature, and I tend to be shy and reserved, but others are far more open and willing to and able to do that. Great. I think it's wonderful for players like Taylor Hall, for players like Connor McDavid to allow this little bit of insight into their lives. I'm not saying that they have to throw the doors open. They have to be a completely open book and they have to chronicle every step of their lives and post an opinion on every topic or subject, but just these little crumbs that come out every now and again. This is the kind of stuff that fans can look at and understand and relate to and have some fun with and give them a little bit of insight into that personality. Having that personality bubble forward is a real positive for the league, for the players, for the teams, in helping and grow the game, helping it become a bigger and more popular. And good for both Taylor Hall and Connor McDavid for doing their part last week. And I'm sure that they really didn't think much of it. I didn't think they were they were trying to do it deliberately. I think that's the best part. This is just kind of a natural sequence of events. And for whatever reason, it catches on. It catches on because there's not enough of it. There's not enough of a sense of humor. There's not enough personality, and there's not enough fun. You're in the entertainment and fun business. Sure, it's sports, high intensity, and high level competition, but it's also entertainment and fun, and it's okay to have that. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Back with much more, including Josh Smith, Scouting the Refs, Dan Rusanowsky. Busy second hour of the program coming up right after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Wow, what a busy first hour. Second one will be pretty full as well. A lot of ground to cover. And a lot of interesting topics are going to come up because we're going to talk officiating, we're going to talk refereeing, we're going to talk video review, and a few other things as well. Josh Smith, scoutingtherefs.com is the website, at scoutingtherefs to follow. Always good information, whether it's on Twitter, at scoutingtherefs, check out the website, and always gives us good info and clarity on what the actual rules are. Dan Rusanowsky, the radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks, will also be with us this hour. We'll talk about the San Jose Sharks, who seem to be getting it going in the right direction, picking up steam. Sharks at home to the Anaheim Ducks. The late game, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time start. One of 13 on a busy Saturday schedule, just the way we like it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day to send us your Dog of the Day photos. Nominate your dog. We do it every Saturday. We're a dog-friendly program. We'd bring our dogs to work if we could, but we kind of work in a lot of different areas. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. You nominate. We choose a winner every Saturday. The photo goes up on our website. It's up on our Facebook page. We tweet it out. Tell us your name. Tell us the dog's name. There's a good story that goes along with it. Tweeted out the photo of Aiden, therapy dog, who was a go-to-work dog with my eye doctor I went to see last week. Terrific. So we're very dog-friendly, and we are pro-dog. A few things I wanted to mention. Been talking a lot about players and personality and growing the game and what a positive it is, and getting players to give honest and open answers. It's wonderful. Seeing more of that is good. It's a nice, refreshing change. And hopefully we see more of that on a regular basis from players. A lot of good games today. We'll look at that coming up. Vegas and Ottawa, we got an afternoon matinee. That's wonderful. An important game there too, because, Vegas and Ottawa. There was apparently a trade that was being discussed and debated that involved the Ottawa Senators that fell apart late on Friday night. The trade was involving Ottawa, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Nashville Predators. One of the end results was going to be Matt Duchene winding up in Ottawa. What does that mean? Now that the story is out, is this going to affect the Ottawa Senators going forward? Because if somebody like Matt Duchene is coming in, that means that somebody is going out. Now, it was a three-way deal, so Ottawa wouldn't necessarily be paying the full pop for Matt Duchene, but you have to think that something is going to leave from their roster. Is this something that is dead and will never be revisited? Come on, we know better than that. All the media outlets are going to pick at the scab for the next 24 to 48 hours, of course, and talk about what if, what could have been, why didn't it happen, which player was moving in what direction. Matt Duchene's going to Ottawa. Well, who's going to Nashville and who's going to Colorado? Is Kyle Turris on the way out because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent? Personally, if I'm Ottawa, I want to keep both of those players and run for it this year. Ottawa's good. Ottawa's really good. They got Carlson back now, and underestimate Ottawa at your own peril. They're not the sexy pick. They're not the most glamorous team. All they do is win. All they are is effective. Discipline, structure, and don't deviate. And sometimes you have to remind players of that. But they're a good team. And Vegas, we're kind of getting a bit of a reality check on the Vegas Golden Knights. The goaltending situation, we know, same thing, but that's why they've been succeeding, is because of their discipline, because of their structure. A little bit of the nobody else wanted us, so we've all banded together mentality. It's all worked for Vegas so far. But that's just the one game. Well, there's a whole bunch of good games today. Columbus at Tampa Bay. How about that one for a Saturday night matchup? Two of the best teams in the East. I know a lot of people really like Columbus. Really, really like Columbus. Think they can do big things this year. I'm a little hesitant. I'm just not quite fully engaged. I think there's, like every team, there's an area you'd like to improve. There's an area you'd like to be better. Center ice position is one for Columbus, I think. Nick Foligno playing center, I don't think is ideal for them. I think it's okay at the moment because they're doing okay and in a good spot. But I don't think that's necessarily what they'd ultimately like to have when we reach the playoff picture. I don't think they want him to necessarily be their number one guy. And I do think the Brandon Dubinsky removing the A may resurface at some point as well. As for Tampa, they're pretty awesome. Stamkos, Kucherov, lighten up the league, stars of the month, top 2 point getters. Why wouldn't they be? Andrei Vasilevsky's been good. Defense is the area I might think about looking at for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Dan Girardi, okay, they got him at a bargain price, but sometimes you get what you pay for. Braden Coburn, I'm not sure how many miles are left on that vehicle. We'll see. How about the New York Rangers, who continue their swing in Florida, had a big victory, nice overtime win against the Tampa Bay Lightning? Well, now they're against the Florida Panthers. This could be one of those games that doesn't necessarily go the way you're expecting. What I mean is New York has won a couple of games now. And they beat Tampa. And now they're heading to Florida to take on the Panthers, heading to Sunrise to take on the Panthers. And then they go back home and they will take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I might sit Henrik Lundqvist tonight. Might not put him in. I'll wait and see. But if I'm the coach, if I'm Alain Vigneault making that call, I might sit Lundqvist and I might not let him play tonight. I think you look at your opponent, you look at your schedule, and you look at a lot of things. I don't know that I'd put Henrik Lundqvist in to start tonight if I'm Alain Vigneault and the Rangers against the Florida Panthers. Look at your opponent, the Florida Panthers. They've been hammered at home in their last couple of games. Absolutely hammered. You think that maybe they're going to want a little redemption. They had their players-only meeting. That didn't really solve anything. But I think there's going to be a bit of a bounce back. And the New York Rangers might be the recipients of a really good concerted effort, a bounce back from James Reimer. And I know Florida, I'm sure, is begging for Roberto Luongo to get back as soon as he can so they can cut Andy Niemi loose. Going to be interesting there. I might not play Henrik Lundqvist if I was Alain Vigneault. Haven't seen the official, but I might not play him. Oh, another interesting thing about the Rangers in Tampa from a couple of nights ago. Didn't get a lot of talk, didn't get a lot of discussion, but I thought it was really interesting, and it's topical leading into our guest in the next segment. There's an incident in the third period of this game. Not everyone saw it, didn't quite catch it right away. Certainly the announcers didn't. It got heated between a couple of players in front of the Rangers bench really quickly in the third period, and it happened because Kevin Hayes squirted Alex Killorn with water, and then things kind of bubbled over. Killorn jabbed Hayes with his stick while he was on the bench. JT Brown, Stephen Kampfer fought. A few penalties got doled out. Stamkos was adamant in informing the refs of the water bottle squirt, and to emphasize his point, he grabbed a water bottle and squirted it towards the Rangers bench. Only person he hit was Rangers ringside announcer John Giannone, and he apologized for that. Good for Steven Stamkos. But this kind of crap This is the last thing anybody needs or wants. This, and I'm glad that the NHL hammered all of those players with $5,000 fines. Hayes, Killorn, and Stamkos all got fined $5,000. I mentioned it on previous programs this season that I like how fines are being issued to penalize players at the appropriate moment. Adrenaline's high in these games. I get it. Players understand how important they are. And just kind of doing something like this, it could escalate quickly. It did escalate quickly in this particular sense. Quick little squirt of the water bottle. Everybody giggles. Ha, ha, ha. That's fun. Except it's not if you're the one getting squirted. You get real ticked off really fast. And that's why Killorn swung his stick. And it's a real message, too, from the league to the teams to the coaches. You got like 3, 4, 5 guys on the bench between the head coach and assistant coaches. You got to control your team. This kind of crap isn't permitted. You got to keep your guys in line. This is immature. This is petulant. We don't need it. We don't want it. Stupid stuff like this, it gets out of hand quickly and it becomes really bad. So I was a little surprised that there wasn't a lot made of it on Friday after the incident. All I heard was some idiot talking about, oh, I can't believe the league is worried about this stuff. Oh, you can't hit, you can't slash, but we're worrying about water bottles. Stupid. The 1970s are not coming back. This kind of belly aching and whining from supposed analysts is just, it's tiring. It's so out of date and so ridiculous. I think it's good that they were fined. I think it's smart. I think it really emphasizes the point that, you know what? This kind of juvenile, childish behavior, we're not going to tolerate it. I'm sure it wasn't meant as a big thing by Hayes, but it was just kind of a, oh, I'll show you. And we've seen it happen once or twice in the past, and other players have been slapped with a fine as well. And good. Don't need it. Don't want it. Things like this can escalate and get out of hand quickly. I think it's smart. A little more officiating, referee talk. We'll get into the topic of video review because it can be a little confusing, to say the least. In our next segment, Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com will join us. Also coming up before the top of the hour, Dan Rusanowsky, the play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks radio network, will join us. We'll talk about the Sharks, their game against the Anaheim Ducks on Saturday night, and much more. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Nominations are coming in. Get yours in. We'll choose a dog of the day. Your name, dog's name. There's a little story that goes along with it. We're happy to enjoy that with you as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. We're streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube Live. And if you miss any of our shows, of course, you can get them in podcast form and subscribe through iTunes and iHeartRadio. And now through the Hockey Unfiltered app, available at the App Store. Before the hour is out, Dan Rusanowsky, radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks, will join us. We'll talk a little Sharks and Anaheim Ducks, which is coming up later on Saturday night. We will talk around the league about officiating, referees, and much more with our friend from scoutingtherefs.com. He has already been busy on Twitter. At scoutingtherefs is how you follow him. He's tweeting out which officials are working which games on this busy Saturday. Josh Smith taking time to join us again. Josh, thanks for the time today, as always. I appreciate it. And are you ready? Because I have a lot of questions, as I usually do.
Absolutely. Always glad to join you, Todd. Fire away.
All right, let's start. Well, I was just talking about the water bottle incident from a couple of days ago against the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Rangers. The squirt of the water bottle that got Alex Killorn all agitated. Stamkos got a bit agitated as well. And it seems, maybe I'm mistaken, but it seems as though the fines for this, I think, were appropriate and good. I'm glad they've done it. I know the league has issued fines a couple of times previously for stick fouls. I don't know if this is more than I've noticed in the last few seasons. I think it's positive that we're on top of stuff like this. Do you agree?
I do. I've seen lots of feedback and lots of things coming my way. Like, this is what the league needs to focus on. Why are they worried about water bottle squirting when there's so many other things that they can worry about? But, I think it comes back to, I don't want to overplay it, but it comes back to respect, and it comes back to things that are part of hockey plays and things that are part of hockey action, a late hit or a high stick that might be part of a legitimate play. But when you have anything that happens that's nonsense out there, that's not related to the game, it's getting that out of there and getting it out of the player's mindset that's okay to do, just to keep it clean on the ice. This is a water bottle incident, but you never know what other non-play related things might come up. So I actually appreciate the league, coming down on this to say, look, this is not part of the game. Let's keep this garbage out of the game.
I couldn't agree more, because I think that kind of stuff escalates quickly. One other one I want to ask you about. I noticed it, and I was going to ask you about it last time, but I think we ran out of time. There's a big reason that we don't allow pucks to be kicked into the net, because you don't want players standing in front of the net and swinging their skates with those sharp blades back and forth. I noticed in a scrum, it was a few weeks ago now, and I can't remember the teams, I'm sorry, but there was a puck jammed up along the boards, as players often do. They'll get in a scrum and there's a fight for the puck. I noticed a player was kicking at the puck and another player's skate, trying to spring it loose. Is there a rule that deals with this? And it may have just been something that was missed and I caught, but is that an allowed play?
It is. When you look at safety, though, anytime you've got a guy taking his skates off the ice, like you said, it's a dangerous situation. I mean, we've seen guys come down with their skate blades on the back of another player's leg in an unprotected area and have Achilles injuries there. So it's certainly happened. It's not something you like to see. Really, the law when it comes to the league is around kicking pucks into the net, and anything else is not expressly prohibited. From a safety standpoint, it's certainly something that, as a player, you'd want to make sure that you're protected and that people aren't going to do anything that could potentially injure you. And there's always potential for injury there. I think the fact that the players are normally positioned along the boards, bracing themselves, and their skates are all more or less parallel to each other prevents that from happening, but there's no reason to think that a guy can't lose an edge or pick his leg up a little higher and cause a significant injury. So it's perfectly legal. It's something that at some point I'm sure we'll see an injury as a result of it, and whether they decide to take that out of the game as a result beforehand or after is yet to be seen. But certainly not something that I'd call a safe play.
No, it was just I just noticed it. It happened quickly. It was only once or twice, but I thought, oh, you know what? I wonder if that's something that's been addressed, and hopefully it's not a serious problem. I haven't seen it before or since. Now, the one that did get some attention this week, of course, as always, is the issue of video review for goals, whether it be offside, which I think is working better this year because it's a penalty as opposed to loss of your timeout. But the one that gets attention is goaltender interference. There were a few instances this past week, somewhere I looked and thought, oh, that goal was allowed. I didn't think it would be. And others where, oh, that goal didn't count, and I thought it was going to. I'm not sure we will ever get to the point where it is a simple black and white equation, because everybody's definition of goaltender interference is different than the next person. And I think that people immediately, because the call doesn't go the way they expect it to, get agitated about it. But there's always going to be some gray area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things, I guess, that when it comes to offside, it might be, a replay to see where the position of objects like skates and pucks were at the time the puck crossed the line. Offside it's great because of that, because it is more or less black and white. And I agree with you. It's nice to see those reviews come down to a much more manageable level due to the change from timeout to a penalty being the consequence there. But yeah, goaltender interference is always subjective. The officials on the ice are the ones making the call, and they're also the ones reviewing the replay. I know the league's done a lot of work to try to make them consistent, and every year and even throughout the year, refreshing with the officials on this is what we consider. This was a goal. We all agree this was a goal. This was not a goal. And I know they did it with the general managers last year to have them review some of the replays and vote on whether they thought, hey, you guys think this was a good goal, and then talk about why or why not. So I think there's a lot of education and communication around trying to get a set standard, but there's so many different factors. There's so many different situations that it's always going to come down to the guys on the ice. So when it comes to the replay, you're giving the man who made the call or the two officials a second look at the same play, and it's their decision to overturn their call based on their interpretation. So, it's a whole different situation than when we look at any of the other video review situations that are handled by Toronto, because this comes down to the on-ice officials' interpretation, and it varies from ref to ref. No matter how much they try to get them on the same page, those situations are so dramatically different that, you don't want to say it could go either way, but depending on how close it is, there are certainly some plays where it could be, with a different referee, a different outcome.
So the goaltender interference the call is always made by the officials on the ice. Is that correct?
That is correct. So for goaltender interference, the referees confer. Toronto helps facilitate the video review and provide the video angles and give them what they want to see. But the decision comes down to the two on-ice referees.
Okay. The other thing that I think confuses people is contact, when it's made and how it's made. Contact in the crease, and I was going to say you can generalize, but I think that's where we get into difficulty. The rules are different, though, if there is contact between a skater and the goaltender in the crease, and if the goaltender is outside the crease, correct?
Absolutely. In the crease, you don't even have to have contact. You can have a situation where a player's presence in the crease prevents the goaltender from doing his job. And if he can't get to where he wants to be because there's a man standing in his way, even if there's not contact, that can be deemed interference. Outside the crease, it's a little different. You still don't want a player initiating contact that will prevent the goalie from having an opportunity to make a save. But certainly in the crease, the goalies have a little bit more protection in that they should have freedom to move and perform their job within the goal crease.
And that makes perfect sense. But I'm glad you mentioned that. They don't even necessarily have to a skater doesn't necessarily have to contact the goaltender to be called for goaltender interference. And that's, I think, where part of the confusion lies, because so often you'll hear announcers or fans griping, oh, he never even touched him. But if he prevents the goaltender from doing his job, playing his position, that validly has a goal turned away because it's goaltender interference.
Absolutely correct. And I think we saw that with the Rangers in Tampa. And then you get there. Was he pushed in? Was he skating in on his own and prevented from leaving the crease because of a defensive player? And I think that's where a lot of the interpretation comes into play, which leads to frustration by whichever team you're a fan of, the outcome of the call there.
Josh Smith is our guest from scoutingtherefs.com. At scoutingtherefs is how you follow him on Twitter, and you should, because there's a lot of great info. The other confusing one I saw was about a week ago, where a puck went into the goal, but it was disallowed. Everybody thought that the review was because of goaltender interference, but it was because they were looking, it was whether or not there was a hand pass involved. That's not a reviewable item. Am I correct?
You are correct. Hand pass is not reviewable. It's that has to be made at the time of the play on the ice by the officials. After the fact, if there's a hand pass and it later goes in, and they're reviewing for the hand pass portion is not reviewable. So you're absolutely right. There are specific things that are able. When there's a goal, they're looking to see if the puck crossed the line. They can look to see if it was kicked in. But hand pass is not one of the things that the review team is able to consider when play. It's not wide open to anything that would affect the puck entering the net. There are specific categories that they're permitted to look at.
Now, the want to get it right part of me says, well, why shouldn't we open it up to everything? But of course, if you do that, then you'd have probably a review on just about every play, I would suggest.
Right, absolutely. When we looked at offsides initially, and we had, well, is it the zone entry? Well, is it 30 seconds? Well, what if it's 31 seconds? Or is it the play leading up to it? Well, all those factors of where do you draw the line? And the league has opted to draw the line on a specific set of circumstances and not to open it up to everything, because then you've got the can of worms. Like you said, we have a review on every goal just so they can check it off. Well, was it touched by a hand? Was it kicked? What, how else was it deflected? So I think that's the league's stake in the ground on what they want to have reviewable and what they determine that their on-ice officials can reasonably accommodate. And they trust their officials for the majority of the calls. It's just those few situations where a different angle or a second look might be required that they opt to allow review.
Sure. And okay, so just to play devil's advocate with the hand pass thing, for instance, would it be appropriate to review every goal to make sure the puck entered the net legally? Would that be a catch-all way of doing that?
It's something they could consider. I mean, you know what, Todd? I love getting the calls right, but there's a certain energy that is lost from the game, from knowing that, hey, I'm celebrating my team scored a goal, but let's wait. And I need to wait and see if they're going to challenge. And then if they do, I need to wait and see what the outcome of the challenge is. And I think you lose that immediacy, you lose that excitement of the play. With positioning, I think the officials are getting it right most of the time. And, there's a line that we and the league need to decide on. Are we comfortable that these guys are going to get it right enough of the time with it, or do we need to get every single call right? And even if that means 5 minutes after each goal is spent looking at the goal to see if it was legal and entered legitimately, it's a tough balance. I'm with you. Getting the call right is the most important thing, but you don't want to lose the game in your efforts to do so.
I agree with you. And I think the refs are doing a better job this year of making coaches decide whether they're challenging or not in a quicker time frame. Look, you've got monitors on the bench. You're in communication with your video coach. Let's get on it. Like we're not waiting all day for you to decide whether or not you're going to make a challenge of a ruling. The other thing, and we've used the word a few times, is communication between the video review office and the officials on the ice. But the other thing that frustrates me still a little bit is the announcing. And I would love for referees, I don't know if they're schooled on this. Maybe there's the good first step are they schooled as to what they can and should announce before a video review? Because I would like them to say, there's a video review challenge. We're looking for this. And I think that would help everyone. It would certainly help most of the announcers that don't know the rules, which I find equally frustrating.
No, absolutely. I mean, to my knowledge, there's not a specific guideline on what specifically they should be saying prior to a video review. Personally, I'd like to see them go up and say that the call on the ice was a goal.
Yeah.
The call is being challenged by X team for X reason. But too often we've seen those reviews where they may not signal a goal. So we don't know whether or not the official's call on the ice was a goal or not a goal. And then they go to challenge. And I've heard plenty of announcers even guessing on, well, maybe it was the zone entry. Well, maybe it was interference. We're not really clear. And I think at a minimum, they should be announcing goal, no goal, and then the reason for the challenge. And I don't think that's asking too much. I'd also love to hear more on the explanations afterwards, which some officials do a terrific job, and others give the bare minimum and just say, after review, the call stands. And that's true, but it's not as helpful as they could be.
And that's the other part, is that the call stands or the call is confirmed. I don't know, are they supposed to mean the same thing, or are those different announcements for different reasons? I can't even answer that question.
Yeah, and then in my experience, it's an either or. It's as long as they're saying whether it was overturned or whether it was not overturned, however they get there is not expressly spelled out. And I think you have a difference when you say that we've confirmed the call on the ice, or video review is inconclusive, so the call on the ice stands. And too often that.
Yeah, I just think that little bit of extra information would be helpful for everyone to understand what the process is, how it's working, what we looked at, and the like. Josh Smith, scoutingtherefs.com is the website. At scoutingtherefs is the Twitter handle you should be following. Man, I can't believe how much time has flown by. I always enjoy our conversations, Josh, and I know you'll be back again soon because I'll have way more questions. Thanks for today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, Todd.
Thanks, man. Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com. At Scouting the Refs on Twitter. Really good information and a little more communication. I think that would really help with the fans understanding and being able to know what the call is, why it was overturned, why it was upheld. I think that would really help the process and get mouthy announcers to stop griping about it, quite frankly. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Last call for the Dog of the Day nominations. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We'll pick a winner before the hour is out. Coming up in our next segment, we'll talk a little San Jose Sharks with Dan Rusanowsky, the radio play-by-play voice of the Sharks. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you miss the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Pleased to welcome back to the program the radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks radio network. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Rusanowsky, and he joins us now to talk about the Sharks, their game tonight against the Anaheim Ducks, and whatever else we can wander into. Good to have you back, Dan. It's been a while. How are you?
Yeah, it has been a while, Todd. How are things?
Things are very good. Things seem to be on the upswing for the San Jose Sharks as well, with a couple of victories and a nice start to this homestand that they're on. Seems like their schedule is a little bit on the road for a bunch, home for a bunch, on the road for a bunch over the next little while. But Sharks seem to be progressing and moving in the right direction and building as we go deeper into the schedule.
It's going all according to plan, I think. Pete DeBoer said that he wants his team to build each season, and they've done that over the course of the last few years to get better as they get closer to the playoffs, and certainly not to have any expectations of starting out with a low level of play. But they started off 0-2, and they weren't really happy with how loose they were. A lot of that, I think, was partly due to the adjustments with the changes in the way that slashing is called and the face-off rules and things like that, maybe even a little bit more than they had hoped after the preseason of experimenting with it. But again, on the road trip, I think it went really, really well. I think it was a good idea for the team to get together, bond after the 5-game homestand. They couldn't wait to get on the road after that. And now they're back for another 5-game homestand. And, of course, a big win against Nashville the other night. That's a good step forward against a good team. And now it's Anaheim, and it's the Pacific Division rivalry, Northern versus Southern California. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I really like how the rivalries have developed between the California teams. All were having success and all were making the playoffs at a stretch. And you had Northern California, Southern California, as well as the LA Anaheim thing. I think it's really positive for all the teams. I think it's positive for the league to have those rivalries continue to build. All
great leagues develop because of very close rivalries, very close regional rivalries. You think back to the days of the original 6, and even when there were 12 teams in the NHL, who was the New York Rangers' biggest rival? It was the Boston Bruins. No question about it. It was Brad. And that sort of natural anyway, just because of the graphically where things are, really helps. When the NFL became a big-time sport in the United States, it was the Baltimore Colts, Johnny Unitas versus the New York Giants in the championship game that went to overtime. That really made the NFL as a league. You go time and time again, and you find out that these regional rivalries really develop the league nationally and develop national interest, in spite of the fact that nobody cares in California what's happening in. It's not exactly true when you see the intensity of the rivalry and you see the way that that's developed. I think that really helps the league overall. So, what we have in California is 3 great teams, and they've been good for a long time, primarily. The Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks. There's a natural geographical rivalry and cultural rivalry that goes on between the cities and the areas. Even within Orange County and LA, it's pretty intense. So I think that really helps, and I think it's something that really helps the league.
Dan Rusanowsky is with us, the radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks radio network, at Dan Rusanowsky to follow him on Twitter. Diving into this team a little bit, one of the reasons they have also been on the upswing and improved their play is the play of their goaltender, Martin Jones, who has been spectacular as of late, made some wonderful saves, and we're seeing the kind of play expected from Martin Jones and the one that earned him that big contract extension.
He's an elite goaltender. He's a top goaltender in the NHL, Todd, and he's got the skill and the athletic ability. I don't think there are too many that can push left to right to left side of the post that as well as he does. Very few. And beyond that, he's got an intelligence about the game, an understanding of the position, and he has the calm demeanor that makes him at his best when the games are biggest. And I think that that's something that settles the whole team down when things aren't going that well, or when they have a bad moment or a slip. He's there to make that big save. And I think that that's going to be tested a little bit tonight because, of course, as we know, it's a team effort as much as anything. No Marc-Edouard Vlasic tonight for the Sharks against the Anaheim Ducks, and that's because of the collision that he had with Ryan Johansson, head contact into the boards, into the glass, and so he won't be playing tonight. And obviously that's a huge loss for the Sharks for one game at least, and we'll see how long he's out. But that's where Martin Jones's goaltending is going to before make some of those big saves with the Sharks a little less deep than they are on the defense than they used to.
I don't think anyone is worried, but I think the further we go into the NHL season and Brent Burns doesn't have a goal, there's going to be more attention and focus pointed on it. He does have 7 assists. He is playing pretty well, but I think he'll be the first to admit to say, yeah, not quite there, not quite on the game as on top of it where I want to be yet.
But he's getting there closely. The last 3 or 4 games, I think he's been very, very good. The thing with him is he wants to continuously get opportunities to the net. I think he was frustrated early on. You can't win the Norris Trophy every night. You just can't do it. And you're gonna do that over the body of work over 82 games. You don't have to grip the stick so tightly and have to be +4 and have 8-9 shots on net and a goal and 2 assists every game. And so I think that now he's gotten through that, and obviously he's right direction. I don't think anybody's too worried.
And the other question I want to ask you about the Sharks defense is Paul Martin. I know he's getting close. Do you know when he is going to be back in the lineup? Has it been said officially?
Given the fact that the Sharks have had such impressive performances from young players like Joakim Ryan and Tim Heed, I don't think there's extra for Paul Martin out there before he's really ready. And he's had one full practice with the team. That was yesterday, full hockey-related practice. And he's felt really good, but I don't think he's going to be ready, obviously, tonight. But he's very close, and they're not going to rush that. They want to make sure that he's good to go for the rest of to fight the problems that he's having all year long. And so that's just basically where they're at right now. I think it's going to be fine. The fact that the kids have done such a some of the pressure off of that, too, especially with Vlasic out.
That's been the San Jose Sharks way, is they find good, talented young players. Sometimes they draft them, sometimes they acquire them as they're early on in their careers. And now with the American Hockey League team in San Jose, they get to pay closer attention to them and bring them into the fold and make them part of the family. And you get to see players that move into and hopefully grow roles. That's been the San Jose Sharks method, is they need those younger players to come in. I mean, this year it's a pronounced absence with Patrick Marleau no longer with the team, but you have to have that continuous flow to be a successful team.
Yeah, but they're adjusting to that too. I think obviously you'd love to have Patrick Marleau still stick around, but that now that he's already been in town, and the Sharks beat the Leafs that night, by the way, so
yes,
that kind of puts everybody a little bit more at ease in terms of where they are. But they still would like to have a little bit more balance. But Logan Couture really has stepped forward this year as a leading scorer on the team. To be Superman in terms of getting over his injuries. And, we've seen some development of young guys, Timo Meier and Jonas Donskoy and Melker Karlsson to help out. And so it's one step at a time in that regard. But again, Pete DeBoer is happy about the trend in the direction in which that's going.
The other player I have to mention and ask about, of course, is Joe Thornton, who passes 1,400 career points earlier this week. The beard gets bigger, but Thornton went through that an unbelievable rehab over the summer and continues to work out to get back to top form. And it's been amazing to watch how well he has played in the last week or two.
Well, I use the word Superman, and I'm not kidding. It's incredible to me that a 38-year-old guy at this stage of his career, is going to continue to put the time in that's so necessary to recover from an injury like that. But let's go back to the playoffs. The fact that he played on an ACL tear and MCL tear, and the fact that he was able to come back so quickly after rehabbing over the summer is just a great testimony to his dedication to this game, his love for the game. Because unless you love the game, you're not going to go through that at that point in your life. And so I think that's a real testimony to him. I just admire Joe so much for what he's been able to do and come back. And of course, it's a story we're going to talk about years and years and years, and it's a great example for young players to talk about the importance of training and eating properly and getting your sleep and everything else, because then when you have to have a challenge such as this, you're able to recover pretty quickly, even at an advanced stage as Joe Thornton is in this game.
38's not advanced. That's not advanced at all. He's a young guy. No problem at all. Dan Rusanowsky, the radio play-by. Yeah, right. The radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks, at Dan Rusanowski, to follow him on Twitter. Sharks and Ducks later on this evening. Good to talk to you as always, Dan. I enjoyed your participation on the final IndyCar radio broadcast of the year as well. I know that's a favorite of yours and a favorite of mine. Hopefully I'll get out to it in Sonoma this coming season in 18.
Hey, I was running around pit road seeing if you were going to show up, but I didn't see you. You didn't have the fire suit on. But boy, that's always a lot of fun to be part of that. And what a couple of great season finishes they've had. A couple of fine championships, and the IndyCar guys are really in concert with the NHL people and the quality of person that they are, and the dedication that they have. Position for me to jump over and have some fun for a few days.
Appreciate it, Dan. Have a great game tonight, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Todd.
Dan Rusanowski, the radio play-by-play voice of the San Jose Sharks. Sharks in Anaheim, one of a bunch of good matchups on the Saturday schedule. Looking forward to that. We'll talk about some of the games coming up, some of the other stories that we haven't gotten into yet from this past week, from today, and look ahead to games on the schedule. A busy Saturday. A little bit of a quieter Sunday and a quieter Friday. That's kind of the way the schedule's going. A few other stories to get into as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, we'll have our Dog of the Day winner before the hour is out and get you set for a busy Saturday of the NHL. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Back again tomorrow morning, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And of course, Sunday as always, Fantasy 5 Day, hashtag Fantasy 5. Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DauberHockey.com, will be with us for helping you in your fantasy hockey league on Sunday. A couple of names, keep in mind, maybe looking for a little scoring help, little defensive help. Steve will have 5 names. Also on our Sunday program, been a while since he's been with us, but we got lots to talk about in terms of goaltending. Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild is going to join us. Really looking forward to a conversation with Justin on Sunday. Ahead of that, though, a busy Saturday in the National Hockey League, including an afternoon matinee with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Ottawa Senators. A lot of other good games on the schedule as well. Toronto in St. Louis. Leafs lost a couple in California. The St. Louis Blues are one of the best teams in the West. Here's a real test to see if the bloom is off the rose or not. Things have sort of quieted down after the Leafs had that hot start and then lost a couple of games. Fewer clickbait stories in the last few days about how they're built for success and going for it now. But they are fun to watch. They're a fast, skilled team. Austin Matthews is a superstar. The discussion before long is going to be Crosby, McDavid, or Matthews. Who's the best player in the league? And it's one of those three. We'll give some honorable mention to others, but those are the three on top for me right now. This will be a tough test for the Leafs as well on Saturday. Blues are shut out in St. Louis by the Philadelphia Flyers. First loss at home. Tough night for Toronto. Vladimir Tarasenko had a whole bunch of chances the other night, but couldn't score. Montreal and Winnipeg. Well. No Carey Price for the Montreal Canadiens. Is this a game that you could bill as kind of the snakes and ladders or shoots and ladders, if you prefer, kind of game? One team's on the way up and the other is on the way down. Since they struggled early in the year, Winnipeg's got the ship pointed in the right direction. Fewer stupid penalties, good goaltending. Yeah. Those were the things that needed to be addressed. They fixed them. Patrick Laine got all kinds of attention. Oh, hockey's really hard right now. He'll be fine. He'll sort it out. He's a sniper. Little bad luck. He'll score a bunch of goals before the season's over. Carey Price will not play. Has a minor lower body injury, as Claude Julien announced after being informed by the training staff. But I'm sure that was enough to send an epic panic into the hearts of Canadiens fans. They remember it wasn't that long ago, early on in the season, Carey Price had a lower body injury and his return was imminent. And then it got pushed back again and again and again, and he never did come back. Price hasn't played like himself regardless. Maybe a week off will help. Maybe a little time away. A little work with a goaltending coach. Just kind of reset, refocus. Remember what happened a year ago? Jake Allen was all out of sorts. Left him home from a road trip. He's been pretty lights out ever since. Maybe Carey Price needs a similar kind of thing. Chicago, Minnesota, Saturday night. Neither team is where they expected to be in the standings a month into the season. Both are on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. I think that's the first time I've said that this year. The playoff picture. The standings as they sit right now. Minnesota's a couple points behind Chicago, but they've been hammered by injuries. Talked about St. Louis being injured. Minnesota's been hammered by injuries. Zach Parise, Charlie Coyle still out of the lineup. Chicago's just been kind of blah. Won their first couple of games. They won 3 of their 4 first games, and they've only had 3 wins since. If you're living in the East, in the Eastern time zone, maybe you want to have a nap because there's 3 late games, and they're all good ones. We were just talking with Dan Rusanowsky about the Sharks hosting the Anaheim Ducks. No Kessler, no Getzlaff. Bieksa just came back, got hit in the face last night with a puck. Martin Jones has been great. This will be an interesting matchup. Also out in California, Nashville, who defeated Anaheim on Friday night, will take on the Los Angeles Kings. Roman Josi has scored some beautiful goals in the last couple of games. He's been a beast. I think Nashville is one of those teams as well that's starting to move in the right trajectory upwards after some early season struggles. Undoubtedly, there will be questions about the trade that apparently blew up on Friday night because Nashville was involved with Ottawa and the Colorado Avalanche. Matt Duchene was supposed to go to Ottawa, but it was reported that blew up on Friday. Will it come back again? Who knows? And Pittsburgh and Vancouver. Canucks are overachieving so far this year. All those that are worried about the Penguins, I think you can relax now. Oh, there's going to be a couple of fingers pointed at their back-to-back record for the next little while. And yeah, they got hammered in their first few. Absolutely got hammered. But they got a goalie now. Tristan Jarry's been called up. He's going to be the guy. He played in Calgary the other night. He lost in the second half of a back-to-back, but Pittsburgh had the chance to win that game. Mike Smith was sensational, and their goaltending is going to be fine now. They got a goalie. Antti Niemi, they got rid of him. Florida's got him, but they're begging for Roberto Luongo to come back so they can get rid of him, I think. He's been dreadful. But Pittsburgh got that goalie, the backup goalie situation solved. Got themselves another center in Riley Sheahan from Detroit. Serviceable. Don't know how many goals he'll score, but a little bit of experience. So now they got 3 good centers again. You can make do on the fourth line. If you need to do a little something at the trade deadline to boost the defense or kind of shore up some forward position, that can be done. Pittsburgh's going to be just fine. If they need to add a little bit at the deadline, they'll be just fine. Another story I want to touch on from Friday. Our friend Kerry Fraser, former NHL referee, who we have enjoyed having on the program numerous times. It's also been really nice to spend some time with Kerry in person. He shared his story on NHL.com on Friday of how during a routine blood screening, an abnormality was detected, and then he was diagnosed with a form of leukemia. This story was shared by Kerry Fraser less than 2 weeks after receiving that diagnosis, and just illustrates the kind of person that Kerry is. He wanted to share his story. He wanted to raise awareness. He wants to help people understand and encourage everyone to get checked and seek help if you need it. As Kerry was also quick to point out, this is just the diagnosis he's received. He's gotten so much support from his family, and of course is going to get all kinds of support from his hockey family. He will go forward with his usual enthusiasm and zest for life, and I think that's inspirational as well. I have a great picture of Kerry that he gave me the last time I saw him. It's him officiating the face-off at one of the outdoor alumni games between the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers alumni. It's Mark Messier and Bobby Clarke taking the face-off, and the smile on Kerry Fraser's face is unmistakable. It's fantastic. It's signed by all 3 participants, and I cherish it. And I know his story and sharing it will be helpful and inspirational to others as part of Hockey Fights Cancer this month and the campaign to raise awareness, to raise money. We've all been impacted by this terrible disease, and hopefully him sharing this will help someone as well. Thanks to Dan Rusanowsky, the Sharks play-by-play voice. Thanks to Josh Smith from scoutingtherefs.com. Thanks to Craig Custance from The Athletic, and also the author of our book of the month, Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches, for joining us. And to Mike Zeisberger from NHL.com as well. Busy Saturday program. It'll be busy again on Sunday as well. Justin Goldman from the Goalie Guild, and as mentioned, Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will be with us to have this week's Fantasy 5. That's all coming up on Sunday. Enjoy a great Saturday of hockey. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back again Sunday morning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Novo product design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova product design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.